Okay, so we have seen in the morning related to epithelial tissue, which is also one form of tissue. So tissues, actually we have four types of tissue. We have the epithelial tissue, connective tissue, the muscular tissue, and the nervous tissue. Okay, so now we will move on to the next type of tissue, which is called as the connective tissue. So from the word itself, connective, that means these are those type of tissues which really helps in binding, okay, in providing some support. So these type of tissue are called as the connective tissue, and these connective tissue, they are the most abundant tissue among all the fours. Okay, so among the epithelial, among the nervous, and even among the muscular tissue. So this connective tissue, it is the one where it is mostly abundantly present in our body, and they are usually fibers. So whenever we say fibers, means they are thread like, they have a thread like structure. Okay, and they are present in the matrix, which may be of a semi-solid jelly like consistency, or it can be dense and rigid depending upon the position and function of the tissue. And the fibers form a supporting network for the cells to attach to. And actually in this connective
Ma'am,
tissue also, we have so many different types
ma'am,
of cells which is attached to it. Okay,
ma'am,
yes.
ma'am, we can't see your slides.
Okay, now it's visible.
No, ma'am.
Oh, ma'am,
No, ma'am.
it gets stuck.
Now it's visible.
No, ma'am.
No,
No,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, let me share a new one. Okay, now it's visible now.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
Yes,
so
Yes,
in
ma'am.
this connective tissue, actually, if you see, okay, we have, there are different types of cells which are attached. So let me briefly show you the connective tissue. Okay, in the first one here. Okay, so if you see, there are those connective tissue. If you see from the first diagram, okay, we have four types. So in the first diagram itself, you can see it has got a fibers. Okay, so these fibers, actually they are thread like structures, and in between those fibers we have some cells. Okay, so different types of cells are usually present in the connective tissue. So all those cells also I will discuss. Okay, we have the fibroblasts, we have some fat cells, we have some mast cells, we have some white blood cells. So different types of cells are actually being attached within the connective tissue. Okay, so and most types of connective tissue, they have a very good supply of blood. Okay, so actually as they are very active tissue, so they need a very good supply of blood. And the major function of the connective tissue, as the word itself, connective, that means something which helps in binding. Okay, so there are the most abundant types of tissue, and they help in binding and providing some form of structural support. Okay, they also protects the organs or the surfaces where they are being attached. So they helps in protecting again any forms of toxins, or it helps in protection from any form of microorganisms or foreign materials, or any kind of chemical or mechanical damage, okay, to that particular organ or surface. Then it also help in the transportation of certain types of new molecules, substances, okay, nutrients, all those. And insulation, it means it helps in maintaining the temperature. Okay, so insulation, it means it helps in maintaining the temperature of the cells, or temperature of the particular surfaces or particular organs. So actually these are the main functions of the connective tissue. Okay, so first it helps in binding and structural support. Then the second, it helps in provide, it gives protection. Then after that, we have transportation of any form of substance, molecules. I think even in the previous class we have discussed, we have so many forms of transportation, active transport, and how, okay, what is diffusion, what is uh, facilitated diffusion, and even we have some active transport. Okay, so next is the insulation. So insulation, it is related to the body temperature or the temperature within the cells. So actually, like I've said, within the connective tissue also we have different types of cells. Okay, so these cells I will discuss one by one. Actually, So these different types of cells are usually present in between the connective tissue. So in between them, okay, in between the fibers, so all these cells are being embedded, or they are being attached. So what are the different types of cells present? Usually we have the fibroblasts, the fat cells, the macrophages, the leukocytes, and the mast cells. Okay, so we will discuss one by one. And these cells, they form a very important function. Some they helps in maintaining the body temperature. Some of them they helps in killing any form of microorganism or foreign materials. Okay, so some of them they help in repairing repairing any tissue or repairing the cells during any form of injury. So all these are the various function of all these different types of cells. So we'll see what these are the cells in the connective tissue, that is the fibroblast, then the adipose tissue, or we also call that the fat cells. Okay, then the plasma cells, the macrophages, and the mast cells. So these type of cells, they are usually embedded in the connective tissue, or they are being attached in between the fibers of the connective tissue. So we will start with the first one, which is called as a fibroblast. Okay, so the fibroblasts are, they are large cells with a very irregular process. And what is the main function actually of this fibroblast? They produce collagen, and this collagen actually, it is very important fibers which helps during any wound healing. Okay, so suppose this wound healing also, when you'll be learning more, okay, so later on, even in your fundamentals, you'll be learning, me only, I'll be teaching you all in later in a foundation of nursing. So you will have actually different process of wound healing. So during that time, during any, if any wound or if any cut or injury is there in our body, so who helps that? It is actually the collagen. So collagen, it really helps in the repairing of the tissue or repairing of the cells. So these fibroblasts actually, they produce this collagen, which is also called as the reticulin fibers. Okay, these are usually found in very active tissue, such as the liver, the lymphoid tissue. Okay, and they also have an elastic fibers and a matrix of extracellular material. Okay, so this fibroblasts actually, they produce two types of fibers. First is the collagen fibers, and the second is the elastic fibers. So elastic fibers are as the name also suggests, so it really helps in maintaining the elasticity of the cells. Okay, and the fibroblasts also are particularly active in tissue repair. So how this tissue repair, it is usually done, or wound healing, this is mainly done with the help of the collagen. Okay, where they will bind together, okay, on any cut surfaces of wounds, or and after that they will form a granulation tissue following the tissue destruction. So this entire process, you don't need to worry about wound healing. So when I will teach you about pre and post operative nursing care, so in that chapter only we will learn more in detail about wound healing. Okay, how is it done? But just remember, this fibroblasts, actually they have a very important function in the wound healing. So they have these fibroblasts, actually they produce two types of fibers. First is the collagen fibers, and the second is called as the elastic fibers. And the collagen fibers, they are the one which really helps in maintaining the wound healing, or they are the one which really function in healing of any tissue or in the process of wound healing. Okay, so this is actually about the fibroblasts. Okay, then the next is the fat cells. So these fat cells, they are also known as the adipocytes. Okay, so the other name of fat cells is adipocytes. So whenever you hear the word adipocytes, that automatically you should know that this is the other name of fat cells. And these cells usually occurs, they might be in singly, they might be in, they can be attached in groups in many types of connective tissues, and they are especially abundant in the adipose tissue. Okay, so even this adipose tissue also, it is actually one types of connective tissue which we will discuss later. Okay, they vary in size and shape according to the amount of fats they contain. Okay, so if the if they contain more fat, they'll be in, their size also will be big, and if they contain less fats, the size of this fat cells also will be less. So this is actually about the fat cells. Okay, so they are also known as adipocytes, and they might be in group or they might be in single. Okay, they might be singly attached to the connective tissue, or they might be in group. Okay, and these are mostly found in the type in one form of connective tissue, which is called as the adipose, in one form of tissue which is called as the adipose tissue, connective tissue. And these also they varies in size and shape. That means if they have more fats, they will be increased in size or bigger in size, and if they have less fats, then the size also will be less. So this is about the fat cells. So next is the macrophages. Okay, so these actually macrophages, they are those type of cells which really helps during the infection. Okay, if suppose if any foreign materials enters inside our body, so what happens, our immune systems will function or it will be activated. So once our immune systems become activated, what happens, so whatever foreign materials which enters inside our body, they will try to kill it. And who perform those function, it is with the help of these macrophages. So how it is done actually, because these macrophages, they have the property of phagocytic. Whenever we say phagocytic, like I've already explained also in the previous class, it is a process in which a foreign materials entering inside a body, it is being engulfed, it will be trapped inside a sac, and it will be killed inside with the help of the enzymes. Okay, so this macrophages actually, that is the main function of this macrophages. It has the it can perform the function of phagocytic. Okay, so these macrophages, they are irregular shaped cells with granules in the cytoplasm, and some of them they might be fixed. Okay, that means they may be directly attached to the connective tissue, they are fixed in the in the connective tissue, or some they might be motile. Motile means some they can freely move. Okay, so they are not attached or fixed, but they can freely move across the connective tissue. They are a very important part of the body defense mechanism. Defense is something like, even the word itself, there's something that our body usually perform in order to protect itself from any form of foreign material. Okay, so that is the main reason what happens. Even sometimes, even we don't, sometimes we don't even need to take medicine. Suppose if you have fever, if it's just a simple fever, even without medicines, it goes away. Why? Because of our body immune system. So our body immune systems, whatever foreign materials, whatever it is entering inside our body, it used to fight against that, or it tries to kill it. And after that is done, then again our body it recovers again. So that is the main reason, like, not every time times we don't need any form of medication to recover. So our own body only, it tries to fight against any foreign substance. So defense means it tries to protect. Okay, and these macrophages actually they are phagocytic. So like I've said, phagocytic, that means it will try to engulf it in a sac and kill it. Okay, so actually these macrophages, depending on the different parts of the body where they are, okay, they perform different function. Means the process it will be same, okay, but they are known differently in different parts of the body or in different parts of the connective tissue. Okay, so they are known as monocytes in the blood. Okay, then the phagocytes in the alveoli of the lungs. Okay, then the Kupffer cells in the liver sinusoids. They act as a fibroblasts in the lymph nodes and the spleen, and the microglial cells in the brain. Okay, so this actually might be a bit confusing for you all because you have not heard all of these words, but we just remember that these macrophages, they are really the one important cells which helps in the defense mechanism, okay, or in protecting against any type of infection. Okay, and they are phagocytic. The next is the leukocytes. These leukocytes actually they are also known as the white blood cells, WBC. Okay, so these white blood cells actually what happens whenever any form of infection is there. So these are the one which will really they are like the army of our body. They are like the army or the soldier. Okay, so whenever any enemy comes, or if we can just imagine the foreign material entering inside our body as a enemies. Okay, so whenever those enemies comes, so who are the soldier who will fight against those enemies? It will be our white blood cells. Okay, so these white blood cells, they are a very important part of our immune system. And again, related to this immunity and all, you'll be learning more in details when you study the lymphatic system. Okay, so when you study that unit, in that unit of anatomy and physiology only, you'll be learning about immunity and what are the different types of immunity, all those. So these white blood cells actually they are normally found in small numbers in the healthy connective tissue. Okay, so but neutrophils actually these leukocytes. So it the WBC levels, whenever there is any form of infection in the body, it levels used to increase. Why it increase? Because it will try to fight against any foreign material. That is the main reasons. Okay, if you okay later you'll be learning, like whenever we suspect that a person's might be having any form of infection, so they used to do a blood test of white blood cells. So whenever they do a blood test of white blood cells, whenever the white blood cells level, if it increase more than the normal range, then from there we'll be able to know, okay, that the person is having some form of infection, because this white blood cells, it always rise whenever there is an infection. Because why it rise? In order to fight against that foreign material. Okay. And this leukocytes, again, it has got some subdivision. Okay. So I'm just briefly going to tell you the names. Okay. They have, again, under the lymphocytes, they have the monocytes, the eosinophil, the basophils, and the neutrophils. And among all these, okay, so the most important abundantly types of the white blood cells is the neutrophils. Okay. So the neutrophils, they are the one which is the most abundant type of white blood cells. Okay. And what happens whenever is any form of infection? These neutrophils, they will migrate. Migrate means move. Okay, they will migrate in significant numbers during infections, and they play a very important role in the defense, tissue defense. So this is actually about the leukocyte. Just remember that the leukocytes, they are also known as the white blood cells, and these are some of the subdivision. Okay, monocytes, eosinophil, basophil, and the neutrophil. Okay, if there is any form of foreign materials, if anything, if it enters inside our body, so among these four, the neutrophil will be the one which is the most abundant form of white blood cells. It will go towards the that any towards the foreign material or any microbes. Then it will try to kill it. Okay. So the next type of cell is called as the plasma cells. Okay, so this plasma cells, actually, it is mainly developed from the B lymphocytes. Okay, so, and sorry, okay, in the division of white blood cells, also lymphocyte is also there. I forgot to mention. Okay, so this plasma cells, okay, these, from where it is derived from the lymphocytes. So this lymphocytes, if you see, okay, so this lymphocyte, actually, it is divided into T and B lymphocytes. Okay, so it is divided into T and B. Okay, and the plasma cells, from where it is developed from the B lymphocytes, and this is also a type of white blood cells. Okay, so these, what has happened to the B lymphocytes? So these are the one, actually, which secretes the antibodies. I think you must have heard about antigen antibodies. Antigen is what? That is a foreign materials entering inside our body. Okay, and whenever we say antibodies, antibodies are these which are produced by our body to fight against that foreign substance or material. So the antibodies, they are like our soldiers. Okay, they are like the soldiers of our body, and these antibodies, they are directly released into the blood or the tissues. Okay, so this is actually the plasma cells. So the plasma cells, they are the one which develop from the B lymphocytes, and the main function of these plasma cells, okay, so they also secrete all this antibodies and all. So even all this, when you will learn immunity and all, you'll be more clear about all this. Okay, so for now, you just remember plasma cells. They are those cells which are developed from the B lymphocytes, and the main function is they used to synthesize and secrete some specific defensive antibodies. Okay, and the main function of the antibodies is to fight against the foreign materials entering inside our body. Then the next cells is called as a mast cell. Okay, so these are usually found in the loose connective tissue. So loose connective tissue is also another types of connective tissue, which we will discuss later. Okay, and under the fibrous capsules of some organs like the liver, the spleen, and in considerable numbers even around the blood vessels. So what happened? These mast cells, actually, they perform a very important role in your hypersensitivity. Okay, so they used to produce two types of substance. Okay, that is the heparin and the histamine. Okay, and even some other substance are also being produced. So these, actually, what happens, they are usually released whenever the cells are damaged by any form of disease or injury. Okay, so what are histamine and heparin? Okay, so histamine, actually, it is involved in local and general inflammatory reactions, and this histamine also, it stimulates the secretion of gastric juice, and it is associated with the development of allergies and hypersensitivity states. So this histamine, actually, what happens whenever any form of injury or any form of uh, disease, if it's there inside our body, so this, our immune system, actually, this mast cells, they produce this histamine. Okay, So histamine is like it helps in performing this inflammatory reaction in which it will try to kill the microorganism or the foreign material. And when we say heparin, okay, heparin actually is that substance which prevents in the coagulation of blood. Otherwise, what happens if heparin is not there or blood, it will be all coagulated. Do you understand by the word coagulation, where it becomes solid? Okay, I think you must have known. Like, suppose if you take out your blood, okay, and if it is kept like that, so sometimes what happens after a few minutes our blood it becomes little bit not it doesn't become liquid anymore, it becomes a bit semi solid where it becomes clot. Okay, so what happens in order to prevent that, that's we need heparin. So that is the main function of heparin inside our body. Actually, it prevents the coagulation of blood. Okay, so it also aids the passage of protective substance from the blood to the affective tissues. So this is actually about the mast cells. Okay, so the mast cells actually they are usually found in connective tissue, loose connective tissue, and they mainly produce heparin and histamine. Okay, histamine they are the one which really helps during any form of infection or in the inflammatory reactions, and histamine. Okay, and heparin is the one which prevents in the coagulation of blood. So that is the main reason. Otherwise, if heparin is not there inside our body, even inside our body, all the blood and all, it will not be in a liquid form. Okay, so this is about the different types of cells. Okay, so these are the cells which you'll be seeing in the different types later in the different types of connective tissue. All these cells they are usually present somewhere in among all the types of connective tissues. Okay, so we have the fibroblasts which produce the collagen and elastic fibers and helps in the healing of wound healing or repairing of the tissue. Then we have the fat cell, which is also called as the adipocytes, the macrophages, which helps in the body defense mechanism by the process of phagocytosis, in which it engulfs and kill the microorganism. Then we have the leukocytes, also called as the white blood cells. Okay, so these also helps in the body defense mechanism. Then we have the plasma cells, which is derived from the B lymphocytes, and this also it helps in the production of antibodies. Then we have the mast cells, which produce two types of substance, heparin and the histamine. Okay, histamine is the one which really helps during the inflammatory process. And even in inflammatory process, actually, you'll be learning more in details in your microbiology class. Okay, so you'll be having some unit on hypersensitivity, inflammation. So in that, you'll be able to learn more in details about the process of inflammation. Okay, then heparin, which prevents the coagulation of blood. Okay, coagulation means clotting. So this is about the different types of cells. Okay, so in the next class we will discuss about the types of connective tissue. So we have under the connective tissue also we have these types. Okay, we have loose connective tissue, adipose tissue, the lymphoid tissue, the dense connective tissue, cartilage, bone, and the fluid connective tissues. Okay, so I hope everyone is clear with the cells in the connective tissue. You have any question? Yes, anyone have any question, please ask. If no, no question.
No, ma'am.
Okay, I hope everyone is clear with the function of the various types. Okay, the main function of the connective tissue and what are the function of the various types of cells. So all these cells, when you will learn about the types of connective tissue, you'll be able to know that you'll be able to learn that all these type of cells, it might not be present, all might not be present in all the types of connective tissue, but some might be present in some types of connective tissue. Okay. Okay, if no questions, then I will wind up the class and I will continue the related to the types of connective tissue. I will continue in the next class. Okay, fine.
Okay, ma'am.
And I hope
Okay, ma'am.
everyone has the attendance. Please don't miss out the attendance. I've already told to give in the chat box. So at present, 51 students is there. Okay, 9 students are absent. So class CR, please note down that one. Okay. Who didn't? Saifuddin, I think is Saifuddin is there. No, Saifuddin is not there. Trishna also. Subhasid, Dikshita. Goryashi is there? Oh yes, present.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Let me check once, huh? KRMP is also present. Salim is there? No. Salim also absent. Okay, Alex is also absent. Anamika is there. Many students are absent now. 9 of them. Okay, anyhow. Okay, so I'll wind up the class. Okay, so I'll give you the notes in the WhatsApp. Please go through the notes. And if you still have any doubt, you can ask me. Okay, in the next class. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, have a nice day. Nice evening. Now you can rest.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you,
You can take a break, you can sleep, okay? Just for half an hour, you take rest. Otherwise, continuously also it'll be very hectic for you. You take a rest, have your tea. After that, if you have anything to do, you can start later. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.